Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Build a Village, Part 7, Tavern and Tower. Oh yeah, now this episode is the final Let's Build a Village episode, and that's really exciting stuff because you know what that means? That's right, it means we complete the village this episode. That's right, it's completely done, finished, and we even give it a name, so stay tuned if you want to see what that is. Last episode, you may remember us putting down a cobblestone circle, or a rough circle, right next to the cottages you see there, down in the bottom left. And I may have mentioned that was going to become the alchemist/mage tower. But not only that, we're going to be building a tavern this episode as well, because that's the final thing we need to finish off our village. So without further ado, let's jump in and start building. Now the first order of business was to make this circle larger and make it a proper circle. So I opened up the circles reference picture that you can find on Google, Minecraft circles in Google, and it'll come up. And I built a proper circle. I dug out the bottom level, emptied it of grass, and put in dark wood blocks for our wooden floor. And then you see me hide behind the trees there. I'm actually building a path, a road up to the front door, or what will become the front door of the tower, and putting down wooden half blocks to make that path the same way we made paths around the cottages and houses of the village. I then put wooden logs in what are almost the corners of that circle. I know a circle doesn't have corners, but that's the closest thing to corners that this circle has. And then I started to build up these cobblestone supports at the sides of the tower. And unfortunately, what this did was it made the circle become a square. And I thought, hang on a sec, halfway through, is this really what I want to do? And then I kind of came to the conclusion that yes, I haven't really built a proper square tower, so let's try it. The cobblestone supports stayed at the side there, and let me tell you, getting those symmetrical on each side was quite a pain, trying to remember how I'd done it at each side, but I managed it in the end. Came up on the last side of the tower, and then stop to take stock of what I built. And here you see each of the four sides with a symmetrical, identical support kind of pillar structure thing at each side. The one problem is one of the sides is slightly too close to the cottages, so that's something I'll have to come back to and change later. I put in cobblestone steps as a buffer for what will become the first level of the tower. Continue to build up with those logs because they're going to be the kind of framework for the structure. And you see me here building wooden blocks, one block inside those wooden logs. That's going to be the walls, and keeping them inside the logs gives the tower a bit of depth. I used cobblestone squares to map out what will become the windows, and then experimented a few times with wooden steps, wooden logs, and even red fences, nether fences, to see how they looked. But in the end I stuck with wooden steps and fence posts for my windows. Now wooden logs, you see there, they have that kind of ugly pale face at the top and the bottom. And here I am dashing around, putting in wooden fence posts just to give the walls a bit more, texture. But yeah, wooden logs have those kind of pale faces at the top and the bottom, and I hate that. One way around it is to install the next version of Minecraft, 1.3, which I could have done, but unfortunately it doesn't support the shaders I use. I could have done that and flipped the logs sideways. But because I can't do that, what I've done is I've capped off the bottom of them with wooden half blocks, just so that those pale faces are hidden. And then it was time to build the next level up. I used wooden steps right way up for the walls, just to give, again, the walls a bit more texture. And put fence posts on top of the logs and added a few windows. And then it was time to come up and map out how I wanted the peaked roof to be. Now I did it too shallow, you see here. I put the wooden blocks in, but for a structure this tall, building a tower that peaked that shallow, it just looked wrong, it looked stunted. So what I did when I put in the nether brick steps and nether bricks was I went up 2 levels. Every time I came in and up, I went up by 2 and in by 1. And that results in a kind of steeper curve, a steeper curvature and a steeper incline on the roof. Much like the thin towers of the castle, actually. So there you can see a spiky roof. And then once that was done, the tower was almost complete. But again, it was in the wrong place. It was too close to the houses. So I got out my trusty wooden axe with World Edit. I cut the tower, and I pasted it back in about 2 or 3 blocks away from that house, and then went around the edges, trimming up all of the wooden cobblestone that was left behind from the cut and paste, making it neater again, and obviously I had to replumb in that wooden path that you see there. I dragged the wooden path up to the front door, added a little bit of decoration to the front door, some fences, some flowers, and another wooden path that leads back to the cottages and houses. And there we go, the Alchemist/Mage Tower is complete. That's one of 2 objectives completed for this week's Let's Build. And now it's time to move on to the next one, the Tavern. Now you see me here digging away at the mountain, the hill there, to create space to put the tavern down. And I mapped out the area I was going to build on with these wooden logs. Now originally I was going to create a U-shaped tavern, you see here? But then I had second thoughts and decided, because of the way that the roof would look, to make it into a kind of stunted T-shaped tavern. Dug away the wooden dirt from the bottom level, replaced it with dark wood for our flooring. And then I started to build the framework with wooden logs. Now I wanted to mix it up a bit with this structure, so what I did was, you see the T shape? Now the bottom floor is going to be 1 block smaller than the top floor, which is where the fence posts and wooden logs come in. But before I did that, I mapped out the 3 peaks of our triple peak roof with nether brick and nether brick steps, just to make sure I knew where they were going to fall and I didn't shortchange myself on the dimensions of the building, because sometimes when you're building complex roofs, you have to think in advance how you're going to proportion the building and how many blocks to build each wall and each face. So then I built the floor for the second level out of dark wooden blocks, and as you can see here, I'm demonstrating that the bottom floor is made of dark stone brick and the second floor walls are made of cobblestone, but the second floor is 1 block out. This gives the building a little bit of depth, a little bit of differentiation, and it gives us an excuse to use a different material for the walls on the second floor. Once the second floor was in, and once the wooden log framework had been completed and the windows were in, it was time to come back to these peaked roofs. Now this is never a quick job, especially on a roof this size, and mapping out this roof with the nether brick steps can be a real task. It can be really tempting to just skip it and flat top your roofs, but trust me, if you stay the course, stick with it, and continue to build these roofs all the way to the end, you'll be happy with the result you get. It's something that you can step back and look at and think, wow, yeah, that does look pretty cool. So I fill in the peaks that were created by our roof, and indeed the roofs are so big that you could actually create a lot of rooms inside the roof itself. You could argue that this structure has 3 levels because, well, inside the top middle roof there is so much space you could fit several rooms. But yeah, I finish up the roof, fill in the sides with cobblestone, and then come round to the front and replace these wooden logs with upside down steps. Add a few windows, and then play around with how I want the windows for the front of the building. You can do a lot with windows. You can have balconies, peaks, bars, glass. There's all kinds of ways to do windows, but unfortunately I'm never happy, almost, with the way I do them. And you see me here experimenting about 5 or 6 times with different designs for what I want from the windows. But in the end, all I settle with is wooden logs at the side and cobblestone at the top and the bottom. And that does me. And there we go. I think that is us done with the village. There's only one thing to do, and that's to dash around with a stack of bone meal and a stack of saplings and throw down some trees to make this place look a bit less bland, to soak up some of that dreary and dull. And it's time to give it a name, and a name that's been buzzing around my head ever since I saw it in a comment is Zephyr, because we opened the village with a windmill, and it seems like that's how we should finish it. So this is the village of Zephyr, and that's been Let's Build a Village. I hope you're happy with how it's turned out. I certainly am. It's something I can take a step back at and be happy with. What's the next project? Well, who knows? I can tell you, I'm already excited about the prospect of starting a new Let's Build, and I'm pretty sure you guys are too. So if you could hold on just a little bit longer for next week's episode, you'll finally be able to see what we're building. So I've been Sjin. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope you can take away some cool ideas. Like and favourite if you want to see more, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.